Now, Francesca is here with us today, live. She couldn't join us in person. Now, as you know that Francesca Ferrando teaches at the New York University Legal Studies Department. And she's a philosopher of the post. She has written extensively on philosophical posthumanism and on posthumanism. And she has been one of the key organizers of this event. As I told you, surely needs a physical presence. It brings in the enthusiasm that she brings into the play that she goes in. But we are very thankful that she has been with us all through, and she has taken a lot of effort actually to join us live. I don't think that I should continue to speak more about her because she's very familiar with everyone who works in the field of post-human studies. So given that, without wasting time, I would open the floor to Francesca. I would request you to please, you can start addressing the audience, waiting for the last 2 days. So thank you, Francesca. Please, you can begin.
Thank you so much, dear Monirul. Thank you so much, Debashish, Stefano, Shamrat, all the people who are here today. It is such an incredible opportunity to meet together in presence, either physical or digital. I want to say that this conference comes out of many years of envisioning. We've been dreaming of having a conference, a posthuman, big international conference in India for many years, and it is happening. And so the power of envisioning and manifesting is at the core of existential posthumanism. I would also like to thank you all for taking the time in your life to embrace this, journey. As you know, this is not just something that we write about or that we get our degree on. This is a life-changing type of approach where we realize that what we write, that what we research is part of ourselves, part as art. So I would like to embrace this approach of existential posthumanism by getting a little bit more into the theoretical background of this discussion, to then open the floor for a multilogue that we can enact today. I would also ask if you can mute the room microphone, because it comes back my voice to me, and it would be very helpful. Thank you so much. Beautiful. All right, so let's go a little bit into a journey. I'm going to share my screen and talk about the art of being posthuman. This is my latest book, The Art of Being Posthuman. It's been translated into different languages, Arabic, Korean, and Spanish at the moment. My previous book, Philosophical Posthumanism, here was published in 2019, and it has been published in Korean, in Spanish, and in Russian. These are two different types of works. This work, Philosophical Posthumanism, was conceived as a gift to the academic community specifically. At the time, there was a lot of confusion on what posthumanism actually was. And so I wanted to bring some clarity. What is posthumanism? What is transhumanism? What are all the nuances of posthumanism? What is critical posthumanism and cultural posthumanism, philosophical posthumanism? So there is a lot of theory in this book. And the vision behind this was to allow for the debate to happen. Because at the time, there were a lot of people who were talking about posthumanism, but really meant transhumanism and vice versa. And people were not able to have clear visionary discussion. It was, this would become an obstacle, the language. So the vision was bring clarity to the discussion and also developing specifically a philosophical approach to posthumanism that at the time had come more from the roots of critical and cultural. And then the pandemic hit in 2019. I was at the time already collaborating with a lot of Indian scholars, and I know how intense the pandemic was in India. I was actually, we were organizing a lot of online events for the Indian posthumanist collective and academics in India. And the same was happening soon later in Italy, in the United States, in many countries. I had a lot of students from China. And so all of a sudden, I realized that there is no way we can stay with the illusion of theory being something that we just write about. The pandemic was very clear on that. People who stayed with posthumanism as a theory, they kind of disappeared from the field. Because when theory is just theory, when theory doesn't change your life, then there is no real value. There is a little bit of an illusionary value. Maybe we get a degree out of that, which is nice. Maybe we get a good A for a paper, but it doesn't touch us. It doesn't work with us. It doesn't work with us. The reason why we're here is not easy to be alive. It's not easy to be born. It's not easy to manifest. So when we don't resonate with why we're here and we just study something that we're supposed to be studying, they stay at the very surface level of our existence and disappear very, very soon, like dead skin from our hands or our feet. It goes very, very quickly away. But when we work with things that resonate with our own inner call, those are going to stay for the rest of our lives. And those are going to help us in moments of challenges. The pandemic was a moment of challenge that gave birth to existential posthumanism. I remember at the time looking in the mirror of the self and realizing that I could have died like anyone else, and realized that if posthumanism was not helping me in that moment, then there was no worth in posthumanism. And so I looked deeper into posthumanism and realized that it was helping me in that moment. I was able to understand the pandemic through posthumanism, through the Anthropocene, realizing that there was no enemy. The virus was not an enemy, an outside enemy, but was a result of human actions, was a result of the Anthropocene. And also realizing that we are one species. We may be from India or from Taiwan or from Poland or from Singapore or from Nigeria, but we are one species. And a species is a unity in diversity, because when you have too much of genetic same genes interaction, the species eventually decay and disappear. The species is a species because of this continuous diversity that emerges from the species, and yet is one. And so we are. And the power of understanding us as a species carries through from the pandemic to 2026. It is a new year, just started, according to some accounts of time. I would like to take 30 seconds for each of us to settle in our seats, in our body minds, in our spaces. You may want to close your eyes or not. If you're not closing your eyes, please don't look at anyone specifically. Go in or go out, go everywhere or go nowhere, but don't go into someone specific in the room. And I want you to take a minute, take the full presence of your embodiment in this classroom, sitting in your chair, your feet touching the ground connecting to the core of the earth, your head surrounded by air, connecting us to the clouds, to the sky. All of us here is a collective body, and we have a full year ahead as individuals, as a species, as a planet, to manifest. There are a lot of conflicts at the moment unfolding, part of the cosmic game of creation and destruction. And I would like you to know that each of us is fully resonant in this very delicate and sensitive texture of space-time. I want you to know that each of us matter. Each of us is manifesting this dimension. Each of us, through our thoughts, our words, our writings, our actions, our reactions, our dreams, and our intentions. No intention, no vision, no manifestation. Visions, intentions, possible manifestations. I would like to invite you all to take a moment to add some intentions to the beautiful fields of intention that you have been nourishing since yesterday, when we were in this big circle, and each of us, I did it from here, from the land of the snow, that's why I'm wearing white, and you from the beautiful land of Kolkata, Presidency University. Each of us has placed a seed of intention for this conference. And I want to expand this exercise, and I want you to place intentions for your own life for 2026. And I just want to underline that your life is connected to our lives. And so whatever you wish for yourself, you're also wishing for everyone else. So let's take 20 seconds to take a deep breath in, out. One more. Out. In the last one, we're going to place with our breath in something that we want to manifest this year. It can be simple as community, health. It can be wider as treating the disease of war. So each of us is going to have 20 seconds to place the seeds in this beautiful garden of existence. And if you want, you can, once you have the seed, you can put it around. You can put some water if you want. Another one, water. And then all the seeds are going to be around us, manifesting. If they want to, because they have agency, like we all do. 10 seconds. And once you're ready to plant your seed, you can say it softly so that people around you can hear it, or you can be silent. If more people are going to hear it, more witnessing of that seed, maybe they will also nourish that. But you may want to keep it for yourself as well. I'm going to count to 3, and 3, if you want, you can say softly, and if not, you say inside of you. 1, 2, 3. Inner peace. Outer peace. If you have some water, you can water them to drink in some. And from here, we are going to go into meditations. So the book that we're going to talk about today, The Art of Being Posthuman, that is described in the cover as a visionary introduction to existential posthumanism. It is a visionary introduction to existential posthumanism, and I also have the great news that we're actually working on an edited anthology, or some of you are going to be part of, that is going to be precisely about existential posthumanism, a visionary introduction. So connecting as a flow, as a dance, as a cosmic dance from this book, we're going to have a pluralistic book written by many different people as a shared journey of visions and vision quests. So the book itself unfolds in 8 meditations. I have shared with you one, specifically socio-cultural agency, because in this moment, with all these global conflicts that are emerging, we never want to forget that we matter, that we have agency, that agency is distributed. The power is not hierarchical. The power is everywhere. And so I shared meditation number 7. But all of the meditations, and I'm going to go in a second through our screen sharing again, they all convey the same message. The micro is the macro. Unity can only unfold in diversity. And so the book is conceived through 8 meditations that are independent from each other, although of course they are connected. They can be read in any order. In fact, the first meditation can be the last one. I often give, for instance, meditation number 8 as the first one to be read. 8 is also symbolic. I like it because if you shift it, becomes the symbol of the infinite. And so this same message comes from all these different angles. From the first one, posthuman self-inquiry. Who am I? But in existential posthumanism, this very ancient question that brought the manifestation of philosophy in all continents, from the ancient Upanishads to the Tao Te Ching, to Socrates, and many, many others. This question in existential posthumanism became an intra-relational question, because we know in existential posthumanism and in posthumanism more in general, that the self, the I, is not an autonomous, separated entity at all the levels. For instance, the material level, right now, for me, for you, for us to be here, we need air, breathing in, breathing out. The exercise we've done before, the air that we're breathing is coming through us in and out. In the room you are sharing right now, you are sharing air. You are exchanging beautiful gifts of healthy microorganisms. In order to survive, I need to drink water. We are made 70% of water. In order to be here, I need ancestors, parents, grandparents, a genetic flow that eventually manifests in us, in me, in you, and so on. I like a metaphor that is used by Alan Watts, was a very relevant philosopher who worked a lot at the conjunction of Eastern and Western philosophies. He was also one of the founders of California Institute of Integral Studies, where the Bashish is the chair. And Alan Watts brings this metaphor, which is really beautiful, thinking of humans as apple coming out of a tree, growing out of a tree. So the human is literally a fruit of planet Earth. There is no longer a place we inhabit. There is not a home, ecology. The term ecology comes from oikos plus logos in Greek. Logos meaning discourse on, and oikos, the home we inhabit. But from this perspective, we realize there is no home we inhabit. We realize that the earth is what is giving birth to us. And it's interesting that a lot of, actually all ancient cosmologies see the earth as a mother, but not the mother in this contemporary sense, when the mother is female, thus separated from male. Mother as the primordial mother, the Paleolithic mother, the Neolithic mother, the cosmic mother. You have beautiful goddesses in the Hindu, for instance, pantheon, that give this idea of the cosmic mother, very much connected to the Paleolithic mother, the Neolithic mother. 99% of our history was throughout the Paleolithic time. And we as a species has been worshipping the Paleolithic mother not as a female, but as the generation of existence. In fact, this mother does have breast, but they have also a beak, the body of a snake, flowers as the plants. This mother is the cosmic mother, is female and male and female, is human and non-human, human more than human, is cosmic, is birth and death. Birth and death. And so from here, we go to meditation number 2, which is human decluttering. I love this meditation because approaches what has been defined as prehistory as fully part of our stories. No longer his story or her story, but story, our genetic story. And when you look into what is being called from the time of the Enlightenment, from where actually the Anthropocene also stems, has been defined as prehistory, relegated to a pre of history. The history would come with progress, with the invention of writing, with the invention of urbanization, with the invention of borders, with the invention of war, with the invention of militarization. These all come after humans started to settle, to switch from nomadic life to sedentary type of lifestyles. When we look into prehistory, that I'm no longer going to call prehistory, but when we look into our big history, we realize that the humans, as Homo sapiens, have been in so-called Paleolithic time, Paleos mean ancient, for 99% of our story. But we never studied that. Never. Maybe with one class when we were 10-year-old, being told that those were violent times, brutal times, barbarian times. And actually, when we studied that, we understand that this language of barbarians, that post-colonialism has greatly unraveled as a tool of domination, has been applied to 99% of our history. And when we look into this mysterious history, we realize that it was a very interesting time because there is no evidence of war, absolutely no evidence. There is evidence of individual violence. There are skulls that has been killed, individual skulls, so violence was still there, but not systemic violence, not groups of people planning to kill others. Maybe more a person getting really angry and killing someone. Different. Systemic violence come from around 3,000 to 1,000 years before the Common Era, when people are already very much living with borders, with economies, with slavery at the point is already manifesting. There is no case of slavery before. Why is that? Because the planet was big, humans were less, and if I had an issue with someone, boom, I could leave. I would move. And also humans had a different worldview. Humans were depending on the planet because they knew that they were part of the planet. And when you go and witness the amazing artwork that is left from the time period, which is everywhere, from Indian subcontinent, you can go, for instance, in many locations, both in India as well in Pakistan, many places in Europe, in Africa, in Asia, everywhere, in the Americas as well, everywhere. You realize that these people didn't see animals just as praise. No, the narratives, they knew how to draw animals because they wanted to hunt them. This is a very different story. We found images, very detailed images of animals 30 meters underneath the surface of the level of the earth. So these people would crawl into the earth for hours to go into subterranean caves. Do you think just to draw a deer because they want to kill it? No, these were shamanistic beliefs in which the deer that you are going to kill is going to become your flesh because it's going to become part of you. And this was a spiritual attunement and connection to Mother Earth in all of their manifestations, as animals, as human animals, as plants. So these were shamanic journeys. When we see these images that are so detailed, that someone like Picasso said, we didn't invent anything in paintings. They knew everything already. But they were not artists to show their ego. Art as a reflection of our ego comes very recent in human history. Throughout all the ancient times, art was a manifestation of the divine. So the artist would be the one channel. So the artist would be becoming very good at crafting, learning a lot of years of craftsmanship. So they were very good. And then they would open their channel to become channel of the divine. That's why no ancient art has names. This art is not done for showing off to other humans. It is divine art. It is an art that connects the human to everything. In meditation 3, we go into biology, realize that DNA is not a prophecy. So you're not your prophecy. The DNA is not writing your life. DNA is constantly manifesting in different ways because we have the whole rich field of epigenetics. And so the DNA itself is a cosmic game. Meditation 4 is when we embrace the earth in the terms that we have addressed. And so we also go into interesting legal perspectives, like, for instance, the rights of nature that India, for instance, has embraced at the legal level, where some non-human animals or more than human agents are recognized as subjects of existential dignity, of course, and protection from the law. So the idea is that a river that is very polluted now can be brought to the court by humans. So there are, of course, limitations, but it is a shift in which we now see nature as holding rights. Rights, it is a creation of the Enlightenment, is a humanistic creation, come with very much of string attached and very many limitations, but in the fields that are still playing the humanistic game, it's good to expand them. So law is a very much of a field that comes from an anthropocentric view. But within this anthropocentric view, it's very interesting that it's been expanded, for instance, by the rights of nature that were created in Ecuador in 2008, Pachamama. So Pachamama, according to the indigenous views of Latin America, is the Mother Earth. So Pachamama was recognized as a subject holding rights, and from in the Constitution. So it was a big shift, 2008. And then from Ecuador, it expanded to many countries, including India. When we look at Pachamama as a cosmic embodiment, living entity, when life is not reduced to what is human life, when it's expanded, then we realize that there is much more out there, that we are we are cosmic nomads, because we are moving in our planet, in our solar system. The solar system itself is moving in our galaxy, and the galaxy is moving in constellations, and the universe is expanding in this time of history. Eventually might start to reduce itself. Now it's still expanding. And so we understand why throughout all the ancient societies, from Indus Valley civilizations to the ancient Egyptians, to Babylonians, Sumerian, ancient Maya, Aztec, astronomy was the first science that unfolded. Because this is traced back to the Paleolithic times, where humans were moving nomadically, and the stars were their Google Maps. Not just Google Maps, the stars were their friends, their inspiration, and they knew how to move on the planet by looking at the star. And that has been done also in navigation until very recent times. Or ask fishermen and fisherwomen, they still at night follow the stars. So it's an expansion of our identity. When you are not sure who you are, and if you are caught into these small and petty games of power that we are seeing in politics around the world, from every country, that we are seeing unfolding this small vision of I get your land, I treat my people with indignity, I kill people. This small vision of power, thirsty for power, this wrong idea of power, that I get power by taking your life, and by taking your life actually kill myself in the long run. But it's a small vision of power. When you find yourself in fear of people with very small vision of power, never forget to stop and look at the sky. And if it's night and you look at the sky, maybe you can, if you live in a city, sometimes go outside a little bit because of light pollution, you're not able to see many planets. But when you are distanced a little bit from urban centers and you look at the sky, you start laughing, because we are unlimited potentials. Unlimited potentials. All the stars out there are surrounded by planets, and we are caught in petty policies of killing each other. Meditation 6 is about technology. Technology is the mythology of our times. People get excited, people get angry, people get frustrated about technology. And so we ask, what is technology? And technology is seen as a way of unfolding existential poiesis. And poiesis mean creativity, existential creativity. Can be anything. It doesn't mean it is good or it is bad. It is a manifestation. It is a co-creation. Are you upset because what you find online is not ethical? Then I would ask, how is your society? How are you enacting with the people around you? Because what we see online is a reflection of us as individuals, as societies. In fact, the digital unraveling of the world of the digital life is at the moment learning from human inputs, what we search, what we upload, the way we write emails, everything is informing the digital and the virtual space. There is no separation. Doesn't come without any type of criticism to, for instance, what's happening in big data type of economy or micro-targeting. Targeting. It comes with a big call for data awareness, because you are also your data. And so we need to be aware in the way we are with technology, because we're not using technology. Some people say, well, we're not using technology. Technology is using us. I wouldn't agree with neither of them, because we are not using technology. Technology is not using us. This is a co-manifestation. And so to be able to manifest what we want, we must be aware. Because if I'm not aware, I may manifest what I don't want. If I'm not aware, I'm walking really quickly to the conference because I am late, and I might put my feet in the wrong place and boom, fall and break my leg. I was going to the conference, but I was not aware that I was going to the conference, and so I broke my leg. And then I don't go to the conference because I had to go to the hospital. And the same go with our everyday lives. Our everyday lives that are never just on our own. Because even if we are hermits in the Himalayas, meditating all day, we are still with others. These others can be birds, can be deer, can be snakes, can be rocks, can be dreams, can be memories. Others are always present. Otherwise, there is no existence. Existence can manifest through movements, through interactions, interbeing. In fact, if you think of quantum physics, and if you look at this screen that you are watching right now through quantum physics, the screen itself is made of vibrations, loops that are vibrating. And in quantum physics, we know that these loops may actually be manifesting not just one dimension, but many. It's called the multiverse. So with all of this in mind, we realize that our societies, our families, our tribes are resonant with ourselves, and that we do have agency. We have distributed agency, and we are all connected. This is the last meditation that I often present as the first meditation, because the last step is the first step. The first step is the last step. Once you see what you are, who you are, what you want to manifest, that is already the last step. And so in meditation 8, we go into ontology, we go into posthuman archetypes, seeing each of us as an archetype that we are manifesting through the unfolding of our own lives. Because our own lives are our ultimate works of art. And then we go from being to non-being, because in order to have being, you need this constant relation with non-being and dreams. Dreams as part of who we are, self-realization. I would like to end this presentation with a short meditation that it was published in an amazing book that is Posthumanism in India, a critical cartography, that was edited by Debashish, Monirul, and Shamrat, who are also co-organizing this conference, and I want to thank them all. This is an incredible book that I highly recommend it to you all. I know that some of you actually have written here. I know that some of you have already read it. If you have not, please make sure to do so. And so in this book, there is, I've shared some visions that are written in a poetic language. I believe that poems are maybe the crystal clear way to write philosophy. And in fact, a lot of Indian philosophy has been written through epics and poems. And so I would like to share a short poem before we go into our Q&A. I would like to invite you all, if you want, to close your eyes. And if you don't want, you can follow the text on the screen while I'm reading. I would also like to ask you to embrace this last final meditation, not as an analytical game. I don't want you to actually try to find answers to these questions, but to embrace these questions and leave them as open spaces for reflections, for unfolding of visions and manifestations. Be comfortable. If you need to drink a little bit, your water, do so. Take a deep breath in and let go any concern, any tension you have about this conference, this exercise, or this moment. And we love reality the way it is. And we love reality the way we are. And we love reality the way they are. The way in, the way out. The way is the ways. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here today. Thank you for your works, for your presence, for your visions, for being part of this species at the same time as we are. We chose a very specific time to be here, and it's very special to be together. Thank you so much.
Francesca, thank you so very much for this keynote. I've known Francesca for a very long time, even before we started the first Posthumanism conference, through which we produced our volume on posthuman cartographies, that was the posthumanism in India. And since then, Francesca has been an inspiring presence in the world of posthumanism. Since then, she has produced her own works and is now a recognized figure inspiring posthumanism across the world. Today, and through these last 2 days, we are part of a conference which is under the umbrella of the Global Posthuman Network. Several people, including Francesca, were supposed to be here, but for various reasons, including reasons connected with state nationalism, she is not here. Stefano Rossini, dear friend and collaborator, and one of the pillars of the Global Posthuman Network, is here with us, is coordinating and conducting a lot of activities here. Day before yesterday, we started this conference with a talk, Presidency University. Presidency University is one of the oldest universities in Asia. And it is also a hub of what has been called the Bengal Renaissance. The talk that was given by Upay Chakraborty presented the origins of this university and the kind of pedagogy that made this university special, that made it a hub of the Bengal Renaissance. That kind of pedagogy was the Humboldtian University pedagogy, the pedagogy of research, a research university. That's what this place was made to become. And it has been host to many wonderful conferences through the years. Much scholarship has been generated from here. But over the last 2 or 3 days, we are present in a conference which is very different from those conferences. If those over here have been participants in conferences here before, they will have noticed that this conference and this talk, this plenary that you gave, is very, very different from other conferences. And it's different for the reason that you mentioned, which is that it is very easy for us to read books, to look at each other as if, though we are seated over here, we are actually on screens. The paradigm of making each other into talking heads in an imaginal space is the paradigm of the research university. It had its time and place. But today is another time and place. A time and place that demands embodiment. That demands that we bring into our existence what we know. Most of the world does that. Intelligence is distributed. All creatures, microbes, plants, animals are intelligent. They embody their intelligence. They share their intelligence through their embodiment. We in modernity have created a construct where primarily the mind that understands and the body that follows as a kind of appendage or adjunct. What you presented today and what you present in your work on existential posthumanism, as you pointed out, that arose from the turning point of the pandemic. The turning point, many people call this before BC. We've displaced the BC. It's no longer before Christ, it's before COVID. There is a transition that has taken place. That transition is consciousness of our precarity, consciousness of our confrontation with extinction. It was really a wake-up call that brings us in confrontation with our extinction. Many people even here believe we are just a step away from extinction. We have to think about either survival or death, and both of these, species death and species survival, both of them. We have no guarantees. We have to embrace both of these as realities. And so pedagogy here is no longer a kind of ivory tower career option. Pedagogy is meditation. Pedagogy is contemplation. Pedagogy is existential choice. So it's from that point of view that I thank you for the meditation that you introduced from your book, Existential Posthumanism. And I would like to open the floor to questions related to what you have to say, since you're here with us, not only in mind, but in body, though represented through technology. Questions?
I would also like to thank so much Debashish. Thank you so much, Debashish, for your presence. And I would like to thank Debashish. Also during the pandemic, we were together and we're envisioning this new flow of existential posthumanism. Thank you so much, Debashish, for your presence throughout all these years of common visions and collaborations. You've been a shining star in my life. Thank you.
Asked Francesca to explain what a few of us is experiencing at the moment. We are closing a post-human educator course, which was an adventure for a few of us here. So it's not a question, it's a reflection that it's of course, where you can really immerse into what Professor Ferrando just said, into how is it to embody an educator, a post-human educator, and how it is to experience the different methodologies. And maybe a question that arose maybe during the course, and now I'm sort of trying to make it into a conclusion of the course. Can we say that we are trying to create a post-human enhancement theory or maybe practice, like to colonize the concept of enhancement, which was colonized more by the scientists and the science fiction narratives, and we are trying now to perhaps somehow colonize the enhancement with post-humanism. But like, you can put this question in many other forms, but perhaps a reflection of this enhancement, post-human enhancement.
Thank you so much, Katarzyna. It's so great to see you, and thank you so much for your work and all the other people also of the Posthuman Educator course who are here today connected to the Posthuman Academy. I'm so happy that you are experiencing this amazing conference. So 2 beautiful questions, and I think that they can really resonate with everyone here because educators, all academics are educators, no matter what. Even if we are not teaching, even if we are researching and writing, that also you are educating. And even more if you are actually teaching students. But just by writing, by performing, by researching, we are educating. And a lot of actually laws are based on academic research. So we are informing society. And our role is big, important, deep, relevant. So what does it mean to be a posthuman educator? And we can really expand this beyond the course to anyone who has been interested in posthumanism, studying posthumanism, and now in the last, I would say, 4 to 5 years, as we were saying, pretty much after the pandemic, there is a shift in posthumanism that has been seen from many people working on posthumanism. I'm also thinking, for instance, all of the shift regarding practice, and there are many books now published about what is posthuman practice, posthuman educator, posthuman education. Christine Degol, for instance, has been also working a lot on the notion of praxis. So there is this shift towards, okay, now that we have the theory, what does that mean in our everyday life? Not just us as individuals, but us as teachers, us as professors, us as instructors, us as part of communities in which we share our knowledge, our visions, and we work with others. So I would say that the first thing is that there is not going to be one answer. And this is, I think, the beauty of posthumanism is that while we are addressing common topics, so for instance, what does it mean to be human during the Anthropocene? I know that some of you are, for instance, talking about extinction. What does that mean? And does energy get extinct anyway? Because a species get extinct, but energy can only transform. And this is chemistry teaching us this. So not entering that because there will be another question. I want to stay with the question from Katarzyna. So the first one is, first of all, knowing the context in which you are bringing posthumanism. So if I am bringing posthumanism, for instance, in a rural area where, for instance, I don't have internet connection, I'm going to work with posthumanism through the context that I have. So for instance, we're going to engage posthumanism in an extended ways through the modern human world in a way that maybe focuses less on other type of works that you can do, for instance, with generative AI. If I'm working in a community where, for instance, some terms are not used, for instance, I was working at one point with a community where the notion of evolution is not allowed because of religious ideas. And this can happen in many areas of the world. There is not just one religion that doesn't embrace evolution. So what do you do? And the question is, of course, you're not stepping out of that because this is your community. This is a community who wants to work with posthumanism, but in this community, you're not going to work with the notion of evolution because this community doesn't embrace that. So what you do? First of all, you need to be humble. You need to take time. You need to know your community. You need to have each other trust. Not that you are there for each other, that you are not there to colonize anyone and they're not colonizing you. There is no colonization involved. There is no domination. There is an interchange. Because even when we teach, we're always learning. I always tell my students, I'm here and I am your professor, but I'm also learning from you. You're also my teacher. And so there is always an exchange anyway. So I think the first step is being humble, knowing your context, working in a place where you know them and they know you. So there is mutual trust. It's not that someone enforces you to be there or push you to be there. You are there because you want to be there and they want you there. So that is the first basic guideline. Work with people who want to work with you and you want to work with them and you are learning from each other. And this is clear. So you're not them and they're not you. You're learning from each other. You're bringing posthuman insights. They're bringing their insights. And it is an interchange. Another thing is, let's try to always offer a little theory, because theory is good, but let's try to not stay with this all dualistic approach in which we learn just through our brain, so that we can spend our life just reading books about roses, but never smell a rose. Because I can read 150,000 books about roses and write 180,000 papers about roses. But if I never have smelled a rose, do I really know what a rose is? If I have never touched the petals of a rose, do I really know what a rose is? If I never embrace a rose from the plant where it comes from, do I really know what a rose is? So I would make sure that we are not staying with dry theory, but we always engage with exercise. For instance, when I teach the Tao Te Ching, when I teach ancient philosophy at NYU, I have to teach the Wu Wei, which is the idea of action on action. I bring a piece of paper, and they have to make they can make a little boat or something, little shape. And then I bring a bowl of water. And then I say, now you put your creation. I can also give instruction to create different type of little forms. Can be just a ball. And I said, now you have to move this, let's say, ball of paper from this side of the ball to the other without moving. So you cannot move anything. You cannot move the ball. You cannot use your hands. But you have to move this. Sorry, you cannot touch the ball, but this has to go from one side to the other. And then a lot of interesting things come. All of a sudden, someone whispered, and the whispering moved the piece of paper from one side to the other. And this is the idea of doing, non-doing, Wu Wei, the idea that can be represented in a sailing boat instead of a motorboat. Instead of having a boat with a motor that we are polluting, we are cutting the water through, we use the power of the wind. Or we can move the boat itself. So, and this is always so much more effective than just now studying Tao Te Ching. They never understood actionless action until we embrace it and we bring actual example and we allow them to experiment with actionless action. Walk with a little piece of, with a water. Sometimes when we do Buddhism, I give them a small glasses of paper and I ask them to fill them to the trim. They have to go to the bathroom, fill them to the trim, and then they have to go slow without any water spilling. This is, of course, I didn't invent anything. This is an ancient Zen exercise, but bringing exercises to teach the theory, because otherwise the theory may stay stale, may stay in the noosphere. And that kind of theory, it may help and it may not. When I teach Nietzsche, I ask them to engage with the exercise of the eternal recurrence. What if your life would come back again, forever, the same, exactly the same? Would you say yes to that life? And I give them 1 minute to really close their eyes, think of their life, to the details, and they say, you don't have to tell me because that's your exercise, but I ask them, would you say yes or no to this life? And if it's a yes, why is it a yes? And if it's a no, why is it a no? So if it's a yes, go on doing what you're doing. You're embracing your life as your cosmic art. If it's not, that's fine. That's fine. Now is the time to realize that this is your artwork. Why would you manifest an artwork that you don't even enjoy? Make sure that from now on, you manifest a life that you actually enjoy. Why would you create a life that you don't even want to live again? Of course, it's a thought experiment, but it's a very powerful one. So I would say, Katarzyna, going back to your question, the first one, let's make sure not to stay to the surface level. Be creative. Be creative. You can always engage in dialogues with other posthuman educators, getting ideas, but keep in mind that every context is different. And you need to be yourself a poetic type of teacher, where in your situation, so many times it happened to me. I was supposed to go somewhere and I had everything prepared. All of a sudden, no internet connection. All the slides, boom. What do? You have 2 hours ahead of you. Creativity. Doesn't mean to rush into something just because now you're panicking. You need to know that things constantly change. Things are always changing. And you need to be prepared to have a lot of tools out of your magic hat. So knowing your context, not staying to the surface of the theory, and also be creative. These would be the 3 main guidelines that I would offer to any posthuman educator. And going to the second question, I'm going to stay very, very quickly on this because I think we're getting a little bit out of time, and I know that people at Presidency University to kindly clean the university want to be also done with their work and go to their own families and tribes. So we don't want to stay longer than what we are invited to stay. But for the second question, posthuman enhancement, you are right in the sense that posthuman enhancement is often approached that way, how to enhance the experience of existence. There has been debate, though, about the notion of enhancing itself. What are we enhancing and where are we starting from? Because if you go through some traditions, they tell you that this moment, the way it is perfect, and that tomorrow is completely new because everything is constantly reshaping, then it would be a little harder to go through the notion of enhancement because the notion of enhancement stay within a linear idea of history, of a linear idea of our own self, the way I was, the way I am, and the way I can be. And so I am enhancing something that already exists. But if we stay really into more of a process ontology, then it's always becoming. So there is not a real starting point because the starting point itself is moving, is dynamic. So this was just a little glimpse into this beautiful, beautiful question. I am not sure if we do have space for one more question or not. I leave it to Monirul and Debashish to decide on this. But of course, before we go, I do want to say 30 seconds more of final greetings. But Monirul, Shamrat, Debashish, what do you think? Are we completely out of time or not?
We'll take one more short question. Succinct answer like a koan, like you've given with your poem, for people not to know the answer, but to poetize the answer in their lives. So if there's one more question, okay, there is one more question.
Hello. Thank you so much for this session. I have a question. You used the word manifestation, and in the past few years, that word has come to mean something very different for two sets of very conflicting people who cannot agree to what that word actually should be. So I just want to ask you what manifestation means to you. Is it more of an intentional engagement for you, or is it more intangible and more cosmic than that? Thank you.
Thank you so much for this beautiful question. I actually was having this precise conversation yesterday with Stefano regarding the title of the workshop that you were doing today, and I heard amazing things. So more on this later on during the conference. But the question was, I love the term manifestation. I use it a lot, manifestation. And also Stefano was saying that for some people, it sounds maybe a little too abstract. So in the end, we didn't use that specific term for the title. I do use this term a lot, and I explain why. I like a lot the notion of manifestation because I find it is very, very wide. And I think this is when it gets a little, maybe opens too much and then might give a little anxiety in that sense, because it's not very specific. It's so open that could be anything. I like it a lot because I find it the perfect term when we are talking about technologies of existence. So when we reflect on existence as a technology, so the technology of manifesting, the technology of existing, how are we here? How are you here? Am I here? How all of these, how can all of these exist? Then there is a technology behind the technology of existing, which in simple words, going to what Debashish was asking, a simple answer is that is almost think of dreaming, and in dreaming there are different states. There is one state, you're deep sleep, and you are not dreaming. There is absolutely no dreams there, and this is when you're at total rest with your body. And then there is another layer when you are dreaming of maybe getting late for the conference, a stress dream, something related to this reality, but not quite this reality. And then there are many other dreams, prophecy dreams, learning dreams, etc., etc. Now, there is all this layer, all these nuances of possible dreams. They come from what? Where are they coming from? And where are you when you are in an absolute rest, when you are in deep sleep? So when we're talking about technologies of existence, there is a constant unfolding of manifestation of reality. And this is also through quantum physics. For instance, what has been defined as a dark energy, not in the sense of being dark or bad, dark matter, again, not in the sense of dark. Keep in mind that in the ancient time, black was considered the color of life, and white was considered the color of death, because when people die, become very pale. And so in the black, because of the humus from the earth where life sprouts. So throughout all the Paleolithic and Neolithic time, all the figurines, black represents life and white represents death. So we're not going to this symbolism that is very Western and very connected to dichotomies of dark as negative in any sense. We're going to quantum physics, dark energy, dark matter. What is all of that? And this also resonates with a lot of ancient insights of, for instance, here we can bring Zen Buddhism of non-being. So you have a constant, non-being is always there, is always here. And from non-being, from non-existence, there is a constant manifestation of reality. So it's not that reality is always there as is static. Reality is constantly manifesting, existing. Manifesting is a good term because it really manifests, it takes a form, it embodies from non-being. So how can reality manifest? And how can we find a thread? How can yesterday is connected to today? Through habits of existence, learn patterns, narrations, cultural behaviors, things that have been repetitions, reiterations. All of that allow the continuity of existence. But that layer should never taken be for granted. That's why everything is always possible. Think of the pandemic. Who expected the pandemic when it happened? Everything is always possible. Not necessarily in good or bad terms, without beyond good and evil, to quote again Nietzsche. So I love the term manifestation and manifesting because it is a very neutral term, it's super wide, and it is very specific for that spark from non-being into being manifestation. Manifestation can also come out of visions. So I like it very much. I know that some people are at unease with it because it's way too wide, way too open. So it's up to you. Everyone has to be comfortable with the language they use. Because of this specific reason, we didn't use for the workshop. We wanted to make it specific and not too open. But I personally find it, ontologically speaking, that is very suiting as a term. And if I did answer, I'm going to use my last 30 seconds to conclude my greetings with contacts. So this is my website, posthuman.org. If you want to learn more about my work, I also have there under the section Write a lot of my papers that have been uploaded on academia, my own self-archive version, so it's all legal. You can download them, read them. I try to put everything I can there. If you go under lectures, you have all the list of lectures that I'm going to be giving, the one that I gave. Under videos, there are a lot of video materials of teachings and other keynotes that I've been given in the last, now would be getting to the 15 years of my life. This is our the Global Posthuman Network. You find it under posthumans.org. It has been introduced by many people. We are co-directors. Debashishos is co-director, Stefano co-director, many others that are also co-organizing this conference. And here you can find the proposal of the workshop to bring to your own communities, to your own universities. And here you can also subscribe to the newsletter that is sent either monthly or bi-monthly. With every event that people send to us, you can also promote your own works and your own events, anything connected to posthumanism. So you send it to us and we include it in the newsletter. It's free and it has around 1,600 international members. This is the course that Katarzyna was talking about, that we have 6 people actually who are speakers at the conference. Debashish is also faculty, Stefano, myself, Roberto Marchesini, Catherine Hayes, Stefan Lorenz-Sorgner, Kuratelian Liakat, Rodrigo Esparza, and Joanna Pasco. And you can find it under posthumanacademy.org. It's a beautiful journey of around 6 months, and then you have to develop your own project, and then there are other 6 months to go into an internship. This amazing conference is the 2nd edition. The previous was in Mexico, and the next one is going to be in Italy. Sorry, this is in Italy in October 2026, Venice, University of Venice, and the focus is going to be existential design. How do we go into the details of manifestation? And it's also connected to aesthetics, art, performance, and also fashion in a very open way, not in the small way. Last but not least, we are going to be in Singapore from the 4th to the 5th of March in 2026 at La Salle University. We have the conference Posthuman Pedagogies, Mindful Creativity in the Age of AI. This is a hybrid conference. Although the call for papers is now closed, you can attend for free from wherever you are. So you can either come to Singapore. I'm actually going to be there most likely in person if everything goes, the universe allows. And you can also connect online. It's free, and you can follow the whole conference in a hybrid form. And there are going to be speakers from everywhere, and a lot of them also from Southeast Asia. All right, so these were ways to be connected. We are always connected no matter what, but this is it. You are in person at this conference. Make sure to embrace, enjoy every second of the conference. Walking now out of the room with someone, going for dinner together, sending a text to someone to wishing them a peaceful night. You are in the conference with other people. These are your friends. This is your community. Make sure to connect, enjoy, and have a great, great time. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you. Namaste.
So I think we can close the day, and we'll see you tomorrow, I believe at 10 a.m. Program in mind, not in my head.
At the program, I think we'll start with a circle. So we're gonna have a 15-minute, almost 1 hour circle. So we're going to share, we're going to, see our seed, which is now a small little plant, and we're going to share a lot in there. Thanks to Francesca that guided meditation for us for tonight. And thank you very much to everybody. See you tomorrow. Please, on time. Goodbye.
Francesca, thank you very much. It was wonderful.